I'm working on this thing is to go, I'm going through all feasibilities on it right now and kind of getting getting everything on, sorry about that. Getting everything ready for either A to get it ready for somebody else to come in and buy it after I, because I'll have it like permit ready is what I meant to say. Or I'll find another partner that wants to vest and we'll build it out. There's a church right next to the parcel though. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to talk with the church to see if they'd be interested in joining the group, to see if I could pick up some of their land for parking, because they've got this massive lot, man, that's hardly ever used that much. Well, I don't know. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow to see how much the lot's actually used, and then see, maybe like they'd be interested in partnering up on it to rent some of the units out to some of the people that attend their church, or try to form some partnership like that with them.
Or if not, they might be willing to. I've had deals like that in my life in commercial real estate before, in Tacoma, in fact, actually, where they might be willing to work out some sort of long-term, some sort of agreement where you pay them because they only use the parking on Sundays, right? Or something like that, right? Or
yeah,
anything's possible.
The lots are empty like Monday. That's why I want to go see how full they get. I mean, it's so much vacant land. And so like, how could I work with them? Like I'd even, give them 3 or 4 units, or as you say, maybe they'd lease me back the land, right, to use. And then, yeah. So
if you did something like that, it'd have to be long terms, rock solid, so it wouldn't impact your ability to sell the building or finance the building or something weird like that.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if I was closer to downtown Tacoma, I think that not having the parking would work somewhat, but it's still it's up on top of the hill a little bit on Portland Avenue, and so it's not super close. And it's so crazy. It's zoned to where all I need is handicap parking, basically, and it's before Tacoma changed the regulations to where you just need 1 stall now per unit. It's not a stall and a half. So I don't know, it's like, I love the idea of being able to put up more units, but then you just get down to that parking's a huge thing for these things.
I think before you spend a whole bunch of time on that, you need to figure out whether the rents are going to be in that area are going to sustain the construction costs, right? The construction costs are so out of whack, and like you said, the parking is the tail that wags the dog, right? So if you were to make the most efficient use of your time, would you build it without the parking requirement being met? Like, don't go spend a bunch of time doing a bunch of stuff if the tail that wags the dog is the parking and you can't figure out how to solve the parking issue. Parking is always in commercial real estate, whether it's brand new construction and you're going underground, because then you have to only do that if the rents are high enough to cover the construction costs, right? In your case, you might have to keep the rents low if the parking's weird and not, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't pencil for the construction costs. Do you have a builder that you would be working with?
Well, so I would probably, what I'm already doing right now, I've got my whole list of subs and I'm working, I'm getting ready to break ground on a 16 unit up in Burien, and I've got other irons in the fire. So I think I could iron that out myself, so to speak, with the construction. It's just the time, that it takes to do all of that. So if the partnership worked out right, I think I would build it out myself just to keep costs down.
Or bring in a partner that's, maybe in construction or something, and give them a, 10% or something, just to, on top of their whatever they would normally charge or something.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
know. I mean, I've been meeting all these people, and I just met this other really good group of guys that I trust and I like a lot that would just love an opportunity like that. And they'd probably be backflips if you presented an offer like that to them, like 10% or whatever.
I'll just say that you don't need to, it depends on what people bring to the table. But Alex, do you know Peter Miraflor?
Yeah, I know
Alex,
those guys. Yep.
I think
know Peter.
he's builder, right? Builds apartments and stuff, doesn't he?
Peter and his group, they do development. I don't know off the top of my head if they do apartments, but I know that
Yeah, I
they've
think
done
I
like
was talking to
floors.
him. I was talking to him at a 10X event about that. But he'd be one to call. It's just information.
Milliflor is the last name?
Have we done this before where you came on and then I gave you a contact on the fly here? I feel like we did this before.
I think we did like 2 months ago or 3 months ago.
Let me see if I can find his number.
Julie, I just posted his name in the chat. I don't know his
Okay.
number off the top of my head.
I do. Let me grab it.
Oh, cool. Thanks for that.
I think. Let's see. He's trying to do some meetup thing too. His website is I don't know. Did you put a website address in there, Alex? I don't know.
No,
It's Peter
Yeah.
at oneharmonyhd.com. One O-N-E Harmony HARMONY HARMONYHD.com, and his number is 253 653 1846.
Julie, thank you so much. I appreciate
So
that.
I'm going to say, hey, Peter, I just gave a guy, Aaron Vaughn, your number. Hi, Peter. I just remember me, guys. This is my superpower, right? Being the connector like this. So that's why everybody should show up to this meetup. I just gave Aaron Vaughn. There you go.
Julie, have you been up to the mountain lately?
VAUGHN. Yes. Aaron Vaughn, your contact info. Hold on, let me wrap this up. He has a potential apartment project. You can talk to him about your other ones too.
Yeah.
What's your number? His number.
253 720 6008.
6008. There you go. Cool. Yeah, I just got back from Whistler.
We should all plan a trip up to Crystal Mountain and do a midweek day one of these days, Joe.
I don't think I could keep up with you two badasses. I'm old. I'm skiing with 14-year-old. I'm snowboarding with 14-year-olds.
Hey, my son's 15, so and my daughter is graduating from Stadium here this year. So
that would be fun. That is for sure. Little SIC, snowboard party. There you go. Good stuff. Actually, we're going to Stevens tomorrow.
Nice.
Cool. Well, what else is going on? Daniel, how you doing? Have you got all your questions answered, Aaron?
Yes, I do. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'm good. Same old. Trying to get the electrical done at our house so we can get the concrete done. We got it all lined up, but we need to get a permit. The city of Seattle will give us a window, I guess. I don't know. We're just about, sorry, my thumb's in the way. Yeah, we're still moving along. They ran out of our cabinets at Pius, so we had to go to GS for some double shaker one, but yeah, it's all working out.
Sweet. Who's your favorite electrician?
Our GC just uses the same guy. He used it at Des Moines. He did a good job. So I don't know. His first name's Angel. I know that. But other than that, I don't know. Pretty good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Yep.
Awesome stuff. I might need a painter. Anybody got a painter they can share with me? My painter is, I don't know what happened to my painter. I had a good painter. I have two painters, and, I think working with contractors is like changing your underwear, you gotta, you don't know. Oh, Shang, what's up? He knows a good electrician. There's my new buddy Shang, and painter. Okay, look at that. Well, I talk to Shang about every 30 minutes because he is like a silent killer. I'll tell you what, this guy is my new favorite person on the planet. What's up, brother? Man, action taker over there. Good stuff. Well, I'll connect with you there, Shang. Thank you. What else? Alex, what's going on in your world this week? What is the knowledge of having insight and stuff to see what's going on with all this investment stuff right now, Alex? Lay the wisdom on us, brother.
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway I've had from this week is nothing private or anything like that. It's just reading the tea leaves from the latest Fed notes. They're probably going to be bumping rates through at least the next, I don't know. It's hard to say, but they're definitely going to keep raising rates for at least the foreseeable future until they feel inflation is under control. So if you have long-term financing, I would try to get it locked up sooner rather than later, because I'm willing to bet that in the next 3 months, we're probably looking at a couple more rate bumps, at least into, like, the Fed's probably going to be lending at like high fours within the next few months, which means like investment properties are probably going to have like a floor of like 8% and maybe into like the 9s.
It's gonna be crazy, right?
I mean, it's like,
I mean, people are still gonna do deals because they just underwrite the right numbers, right? From a broker's perspective as well, it's such a good conversation to have opportunities to do more off market. Like, hey, let me work your property off market, save some money on, paying commissions and all that stuff. So these buyers and whether they're investors or anybody else can pay a little bit lower price, or, help them offset some of their costs for the next 2 years or something like that. Right. Looks like Holly has a question for you. Can you talk today, Holly? Oh, go ahead, talk out loud, everybody.
I just wanted to know if you had a midterm loan rental option to talk more about that.
Yeah, so for certain lending, right, we have a couple of different loan products. I'm not quite sure, or I don't know off the top of my head, like, exactly which one would fit your situation, but I can talk about a few of them. So we have one loan product. It's DSCR based. It's intended for short-term rentals, so like anything 30 days and under. If you're talking about renting out to folks with like 1 month to say 5 month rental terms, we currently, with our DSCR product, we would want to evaluate those as long-term rentals and basically use market rents to evaluate the DSCR. However, we do have a bank statement-based product where essentially, we want you to demonstrate either like really, really large asset amounts, so we can do like an asset depletion type loan, or we can base it on your business purpose income, and we can build a loan based off of that. So depending on your situation, we probably can put together a loan. It's just, I'm not quite sure what the property looks like and like what your situation looks like. Do you mind talking a little bit more about that, or?
I was just curious on the options that you have for my buyers or investors.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So for midterm rentals, like anything where the rental term is going to be like 30 days to 180 days, so like 1 to 6 months, I'd probably want to address that using our bank statement based loan, where we have the borrower show us 12 months of business purpose bank accounts. We're going to build a loan based off of the business purpose income, like the analysis, like the income expense analysis of those accounts. And roughly at a 1% ratio, we can build a loan on that. So like if a borrower's showing me $10,000 per month in net business purpose income, I can probably build a loan for like somewhere between 950 to $1 million, something like that. And that
Net.
doesn't have to be, yeah, like 10,000 net per month.
And is that like a 25% down loan option that you have?
So our bank statement based loan, we can leverage up to 80% of the purchase price or 80% LTV if it's a rate and term. If it's cash out, we'll go to 75%. We want to see at least 6 months of seasoning to do cash out.
Alex, is this your own lending firm, or is this what you specialize in, is lending?
So I work for a company called Certain Lending.
Drop your contact info in the chat. Hard money lenders, asset-based lending, but with long-term loans available as well.
Yeah, we specialize in like 1 to 4 unit properties, both, short-term hard money as well as like long-term financing for stabilized rentals. We can also do like 5 to 10 unit properties, again, short-term or long-term, and then like larger commercial industrial stuff like 3 million and up. We can do those types of projects also.
And that's like an 8 to 9% loan product, right?
For long-term,
midterm.
yeah, it would be somewhere, most likely somewhere in the 8 to 9% range. Like it's going to depend a little bit on borrower like credit score, what kind of leverage they're aiming for, cash out versus rate and term. But yeah, like broadly speaking, the range right now is like somewhere between like 7.75% to like 9.75%, right? Because I've had borrowers come to me with like a 680 credit score asking for cash out, and it's like, yeah, we can do that, but your interest rate's going to be super high. So maybe we want to put you in a bridge loan for 12 months or for 18 months, and then we'll refinance you once you've had a chance to bring up your credit score.
Who the hell would want to do any type of bridge right now with rates going up? Isn't that scary?
I mean, it is scary, but like if someone's coming with a 680 credit score or something like that, the interest rate that I can give you at that point is probably going to be, it's going to be not that far off from what the bridge rate is going to be. So I would usually advise a borrower to like do a bridge, get your credit up, and bringing your credit up a lot of times makes them bankable. So that way they don't need to come to me at all. I can be like, hey, look, we'll get you get yourself into a conventional loan instead. Your rate will be better. Your leverage will be a little bit better. It'll just mean more paperwork.
So is that a type of loan product you would suggest if you're looking to buy someone's Airbnb business?
So if you're looking to buy an Airbnb
business, so you have a property, they've been running an Airbnb business out of it, and you're looking to buy the property and continue their business. So it's like one big package.
I'm going to want to take a harder look at that kind of file, just because I have been hearing rumblings from our team that, we might start phasing out the short-term loan product, just depending on how things keep going in the market. But I would want to take a look. I would want to take a look at it. Like I know that we've done purchases of Airbnb, like Airbnb properties that have a history. I know that we don't do them on like fresh Airbnbs, like properties that have never been used as a short-term rental before. But I would want to take a harder look at the file itself.
You know what's something to consider, Holly, on the Airbnb thing like that? If you have trouble with loans, would be a lease option. The lease option would be badass for an established Airbnb business, that you can cut a deal where you phase into it based on where rates are going, and profit share, basically based with using a lease option as the tool until things can stabilize.
I think that's a great option. And then I was also going to just like, can you refinance and add your name to a title? That's a question for Alex.
So the situation is like you have maybe you have a seller or you have a current homeowner and they want to bring in
a partner
and partner up on the deal. Is that kind of what you're talking
about?
Yeah,
you're looking to partner up and then take them off of the loan at a later date.
That would trigger tax things, and it would be considered a sale of partnership interest. And there's a bunch of tax and legal things related to that. That's not as simple as, I mean, I'm sure it can be done, but you have to be talking to a lawyer and a CPA because it triggers things on stuff. And it also may impact whatever current loan they have on there as well. You'd need to read the underlying documents of what the current loan is in regards to if that triggers something by selling X amount percentage of the partnership interest. It'd be fun to sort that all out and see what happened and get some answers and share that. A little good case study.
Yeah, that'd be a fun case study. Yeah.
I was going to say, Julie's correct here in that bringing in another owner on a property might violate the current financing they have, and it might cause a note to come due. And then when certain lending underwrites a loan, right, we underwrite the partnership as it is at that time. And if that changes later down the road, and then you're trying to refinance, we might have to call the note because we'll find out that, oh wait, ownership has changed from when we underwrote the loan.
Can you
And
just
it
ask for
also-
permission from the lender?
You can. They might grant it. I know that we don't really grant those options, but I know, I mean, maybe a conventional lender would.
Seems like there's some better structures than that. Which would be fun to talk about. I'd have to think about it. That sounds like the way that's gonna trigger a bunch of stuff, cause tax things and other stuff. I don't know.
I was just trying to think about doing something creative.
Lease option. Until something, whatever is the roadblock in the way, or you're just trying to partner up with somebody that wants to sell a portion. Do they want to sell the whole thing, or they want to sell, is you getting on the title a way to just feel like you're taking control temporarily until things smooth out on the financing side where it can be a complete sale?
I was just trying to look at another option that could be doable if it was.
Or what's another thing? This is a good question for Mariska Holly on our team. Also, I don't know, I'm thinking out loud, like what is it where a contract for deed, where there is something and the deed doesn't actually exchange hands, it sits in escrow until a certain event is triggered? Contract for deed. You guys know what I'm talking about? Ask Mariska about that, Holly.
Yeah, title doesn't change.
Title doesn't
That's
change.
a good
on
idea.
that. Ooh, I still got it, guys. Look at that. It's the coffee.
Yeah, it's the coffee, Julie. That
I'm
saved
sitting in
you.
a parking lot in downtown Bellevue. In my car. What else?
Hey, Alex, does your LTV drop when you use those Airbnb products? Because the lenders I have that do it, I don't even target them, but they always ask me to send them, stuff for Airbnb. I'm like, when do I ever find an Airbnb person, first of all? And then when do I find it when they actually have history? Kind of like what Alex said. Usually they have no history. So but does the LTV drop? Mine's like 65 or 70 LTV, but who's going to do 30 to 35 down? That's the other question.
So if you're talking about an Airbnb within a major metro area, we'll max out at, short-term rental loans, basically there's a 5% drop from the usual. So like if we could do 80% for purchase using like either a bank statement or standard loan or standard DSCR loan, we'll do like 75 for purchase. Instead of 75 for cash out, we'll do 70. If the property is rural, if the property appraises as rural, that's another story. Then yeah, we're going to be kind of in that boat where we max out at like 65 and cash out might be 60.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think.
What if a seller's willing to do a seller financing second? You're looking for guaranteed skin in the game, right?
I mean, certain lending, we want to be in first position and we don't allow seconds behind ours for long-term notes. On short-term hard money loans, like we might be able to work something out, especially if a borrower has good experience. But if it's like, say, a brand new borrower, never done a deal before, we wouldn't allow it.
That's interesting. Wow.
Hey, what's considered
yeah.
experience or history on an Airbnb? Like sometimes I get properties, I got one right now, actually going to get an offer on it today off market in Linwood. And it was run as an Airbnb for on the weekends for 6 months. Right? Every weekend booked. Is that what's the minimum history to be considered Airbnb history?
I think we need to just see that it's been listed before, and that, you know, there is some kind of rental history. Like it's a fairly new product, so we don't have all the details ironed out, but I would say, you know, I'd want to see at least 3 months of operation, right? And at least a couple of actual rentals. It's going to kind of depend a little bit on like how it's being run, right? Like is the owner doing like 1 month rentals mostly? Are they only renting it occasionally? Are they trying to rent it continuously? It's hard for me to give like a really clear answer, but I would say, you know, it's got to have been active for probably at least 3 months. We might want to see more, depending on like what kind of property it is. Like if it's like a luxury Airbnb, I could see us wanting to see at least 12 months of history on something like that.
Yeah. Albert or whatever, does when you're looking at Airbnb properties and there's some history, and let's say we're pulling the seller's tax return to verify it somehow, or I don't know, what are we, you know, even on rentals, on mom and pop rentals, I know Ken's on here, my new friend Ken. One of the things that you always want to look at is you want to look at their tax returns to verify they actually banked, you know, what they're saying the rent is, you know, unless you don't care and you want it to empty out and do your value add or whatever, right? On Airbnb properties, I guess you could just look at the Airbnb history because there's reports you can print out, right?
Are you asking for conventional or using actual taxes? So you have to file
I'm talking about just tax subject matter or lending subject matter in general. Like do we for people that want to do Airbnbs, isn't there something, Albert, that you know, and I like it should be booked on somebody's schedule E, not their C, or for tax purposes?
You're asking a tax. Yeah, you're asking a tax question. Are you operating them? You know, are you providing hospitality services? So that's a tax question. That makes it move on Schedule E versus Schedule E. So it becomes a rental activity to an operating business. There's pros and cons to that, actually. There's not all cons or pros. But we talk about that all the time on that real estate tax investors group on Facebook. I mean, I invited everybody I knew on Wall Reno to that group. So
what's the name most of you guys group?
Are real estate tax investor, smart real estate tax investor. I'm walking at the moment, but yeah, I'll try to type it in after.
Come on, Albert, can't you walk and type?
Yeah, gotta get the 20,000.
Well, I saw some guy the other day saying, "Hey, I want to book this on my Schedule C instead of my Schedule E," and I'm thinking, why would you want it on your Schedule C unless you're trying to max out your or whatever your contribution is?
There's an Airbnb loophole where if you do it, you in essence become a real estate professional, or the benefits of what a real estate professional would be without qualifying for a real estate professional. And that's what W2ers do, to write off a huge chunk of their building's depreciation in the first year, because they can't qualify for real estate professional. They must qualify for Airbnb loophole, or they're screwed. They're going to pay tax on their,
So they must what?
W2. That's one way to get out of becoming a real estate professional, or marrying a real estate professional, right? Marrying a realtor.
Hey, I'm available, guys.
Yeah. But those are the ways out. So these tax groups are popular now because all these W2 high income people are joining because they're trying to figure out a way to write off a large portion of the building. But that's why. So they want to
seems like there's a whole business model there of a credit partner or real estate pro partner to help on stuff. But that's individual. Well, that goes down to the individual.
Yeah, I have a guy who bought a house in Encino, 1.8 million. He did a cost segregation on it, wrote off $554,000 against his doctor income, makes about 800. So his net income in California is California doesn't recognize this, by the way. He still makes 800 for California, But for the federal, he's down to like 200. So his federal tax bracket is like in the low 30s instead of 39.6. So he saves a whopping amount on that 540,000. He saves 40%. It's like a $200,000 advantage for him, and it cost him maybe 8 or 10K to do this cost seg. So he bought that house purely for tax purposes. He told me, yeah, it makes sense. I can see why he did it. Would I do it? I don't know, but that's just a case study that I saw.
Baller.
But
So-
a caveat for that approach is that you have to actively manage your own manage.
We
Yeah.
can't hear you very well, Ken.
Oh, can you guys hear me okay?
A little bit
Oh.
better.
Yeah, a caveat for that is that you have to actively manage your own Airbnb. So if you hire out a property manager for the Airbnb, then you're not considering just doing that quickly from an Airbnb. And you couldn't use that to cost save your
Yeah. It's hard to
Can't
hear
hear
him,
him.
but what he's
Can't
trying
hear
to
you.
say is you have to materially participate. It's another tax term. We don't want to put people to sleep, right? But you have to materially participate. You have to do one of the 7 rules in material participation. The one I saw that was easiest is 100 hours or more than any other human. That's the easiest one to probably qualify for. But the other 6 are very tough. You could do it, but talk to a CPA about it to figure out how to qualify for that. But yeah, you have to operate the Airbnb and do more than 100 hours and more than any other human. So that human part is very specific. So can't be more than any other LLC or any other, it's more than any other human person, individual. So we have a lot of these tax planning scenarios on the mortgage end, because these doctors and high income tech people, they're trying to buy these Airbnbs and operate them and get this loophole. So I'm involved usually with the CPAs on this.
Another little thing I want to bring up. So let's say you're dealing with a seller and they, it's their primary residence and they're saying, yeah, I'm going to move out for a while and I'm going to Airbnb the house and then I'll sell it later. Isn't that a little bit like, well, you realize if you do that, you're converting your situation from a, getting your deduction off whether you're married or not from any capital gains versus the moment you throw it on Airbnb, isn't that kind of like now you've just converted it to a rental property and you're going to be paying capital gains tax?
You should have Mark Canton on here, Julie, but as far as I know, it's 2 of the last 5 years. So even if you Airbnb for 3 months, you still live there 2 of the last 5. 2 of the last 5. Yeah, that's the rule.
Okay.
It's IRC
Is that a verifiable
121.
fact? Does everybody know that?
IRC 121, IRS code. I only
You
know
are
that because
a
I
nerd,
sit on all
Albert.
these calls. Yeah, I sit on all these calls with Mark and all these guys. I pay attention when I can.
I'm too lazy to go read that shit. I'm just going to go post it on SIC or
Well,
WARI and be like, hey, if
Julie.
if somebody I know threw their property on Airbnb for 6 months, that was their primary.
Yeah. I mean, I am
You know,
paid to pay attention.
Did they screw
so I have
themselves or
to-
not? Weren't that you and me, Holly, talking about that the other day? I don't know where Holly is, but I think me and Holly were bumming around talking about this.
Some
exact
people
thing
rent
the
it
other
out.
day.
Yeah, some people rent it out for 3 years, but they lived there 2 of the last 5. It could have been,
There you go.
2021 and 2020.
Just
so
this
they
little
still,
nugget that we're talking about with Alex right here, everybody, this little confirmation of a nugget of that little piece of information is such a good value add to people when you're talking to homeowners, whether you're a wholesaler, investor, broker, whatever your discipline is. That sets you apart, having confirmation of that piece of information that you can help people plan, which we're talking about. Doesn't matter what discipline you are in real estate. It's when you add value to people, that's how you gain rapport and that's how you get the deals. So I like to hone in on these little nuggets and put a little shiny stars around
yeah,
them.
Julie, I have a broker in Riverside County out in Orange County here. And he was able to increase his business a bunch because he had all these Indian and aunties, uncles. And by telling them about cost seg, he was literally able to get like, I mean, I can't quantify it exactly, but he told me 30% more transactions and sides per year just by mentioning cost eggs to all these
Yeah.
people buying multis out in Riverside County, which is
Yeah.
kind of like the Pierce County of King.
Good tip. I'm writing
So
myself.
just for you agents, all the brokers there out here,
Good tips, brother.
because these buildings are like $1 million for a fourplex. They're writing off $250,000 by buying them. So for the people with high income, that's a huge deduction, especially in California because there's income tax. So that helped his business.
Yep. Good stuff. I'm making myself a note on that
I have
topic.
a question. If I was curious about if anyone, what their thoughts are on the Washington State House. Just, I don't know if you guys talked about this already. I just passed
Yeah.
that new bill. Basically, anywhere, almost anywhere, virtually anywhere, they're going to be able to put, homeowners will be able to put up ADUs or fourplexes or something like that. I think the bill pretty much gets rid of single family detached homes or something. I'm just wondering what you guys' thoughts
Yeah,
are
I
on that.
think it gets rid of single family zoning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is it just
essentially,
in Seattle or is it in the state?
I heard it statewide. House Bill 110 something. 1110.
I think that's what everybody's kind of been waiting for now. It doesn't need to pass through somebody somewhere else.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
Senate has to go through
yeah.
the Senate.
Right.
Sounds awesome, right, Daniel?
Well, it sounds great for investors. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we live in Sammamish right now, so we're just curious how that would change the environment around here.
Yeah, because state law supersedes city or local ordinance, right? So you could, in theory, build a fourplex next to your single family. I mean, it could be bad too, if you're trying to have your peace and quiet.
Well,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
a sudden your single family home is now zoned for however many
Yeah.
units.
Right.
And you know, so we've already got some, like I think it's Seattle, Burien, Kenmore, and Kirkland that have the ADU, DADU ability, right? But like Shoreline, which is ripe with huge lots, does not. This would change the game, you know. Some of these areas that have, you know, man, yeah, it's people are gonna go crazy. Hey, by the way,
Hi, Sarah.
speaking
My
of-
name is Shang. I'm a local real estate agent in the area, and I'm pretty sure
Shang!
you're aware your house.
There we go. Look at this guy's cold calling right when he's talking. He's so awesome. Yeah, baby. One thing I was gonna say to you guys was what? That just threw me off a second. What was I saying? Oh, there's that. You guys seen Ofner Avny? Offer, you know what I'm talking about? Ofner Avny. He's got like real estate and surrounding in Washington, and he has that. He does development with his things called like Z something. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Ofner Avny. He's got this new app. He's super smart dude. He's got this new app out called Dash Reel. You guys see him promoting it everywhere lately? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You know Ofner. Is this how I say his name correctly? Alex? What's his site called? It's called Real Estate in Seattle and the Puget Sound or something like this. Anyways, he's got this app. So for all you people, just so you know, it's awesome. I plugged in, took a look at it. It's to help you. It's kind of like ADU Universe, maybe even better, right? 3D models and all this stuff on his site. But I will tell you, if you're an investor and you're working with homeowners, or you're a broker working with homeowners, they're brokers and you're handing over your leads to them. So be very careful, right? You know, as soon as you plug your property into their site, their Compass broker information is like, hey, call us. And so it's great if you're working with buyers and you're like, hey, I want to look at that property. Or if you're a buyer and you want to look at, I'm just saying, be careful if you're an investor or a broker or whatever, if you have an off market deal that you plug that in there to see what's going on. Now, all of a sudden they're going to get a call from their broker team. I guarantee it. Do you guys follow me? I'm saying awesome stuff, but be careful with giving away your lead contact information, whatever discipline of real estate you're in. If you're working with, yourself as a buyer looking at some listed property that you want to buy because you're smart and you can pick up listed properties because you're smart with development or ADU or whatever else, then fine, it's already listed and you're not giving away any extra information. Do you guys follow what I'm saying? Yeah, no, boring. Well, there you go. Even the cleanest, nicest looking people are, I'm just saying, I don't want to I told my whole team, like, hey, be careful. Don't turn your off-market leads into that thing. Follow me? Okay. Enough said on that topic. Okay. What else? Alex, anybody failing or is everybody,
we're surviving, Julie. We're surviving.
Everybody's surviving.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yep.
Yeah. Slow down like 70, 80%, so just living on the real estate investor side of things. So thankful that I did my investments when I did them.
Totally. I have my apartment building cash flow. Same thing. Does that sort of thing for me. Oh, Alex, go ahead and say it.
Just saying, you asked, what else? Luxury SFRs in Phoenix and Boise are a bad idea right now. I've had a bunch of borrowers reach out to us, and I just look at their projects, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, but you leveraged up super heavy on this project, and the market just isn't there for the RV you're looking for. You're in a bad spot, man.
Yeah.
And your only choice is like either you bring more cash and maybe try to close out with only losing a little bit, or you do deed in lieu to other property or something. Like I've had some folks come to me that are just completely underwater on their properties, and it's just not a good. It's a bad feeling to tell them that.
Totally. Absolutely. Any other markets you think that are? I mean, Seattle here, there's no blanket statements we can make, but it sure seem like properties are selling pocket by pocket. People say, oh my God, it's sold, 5 offers over the list price. Well, you got to qualify that. What was the list price, right? Did somebody talk somebody into some lowball panic number and it sold over the list price? I don't think that's really an indication of a story that's going on, but as on the brokerage side of thing, I can tell you there's a lot of people out shopping for properties, willing to buy properties, at least here in the Seattle market. So remember, real estate is so hyper local. And I also don't think that there's any blanket statements anybody can make about anything right now, because it's property by property, situation by situation. There's no consistency or stability or crystal ball-y stuff or anything like that. While I have Albert here, I know that Ken is on here and Holly's on here and Daniel and Shannon, all these people are on here. What's your little, coming from the lending side, how you analyze your duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, or any of your properties, Albert, in regards to your back of the neck quick due diligence number? Don't you look at the rents or something and say, or the NOI, or what do you do when you say, let me see if I can just multiply that by 1.25 and see if the numbers pencil? You have your own little, I'm a lender, smart guy, reverse engineering, quick benchmarky underwriting. What is that? Can you share with us?
Well, there's many, right? The 125, I guess, is the commercial world, but that has to do with the actual net operating income. It's all this jargon for basically all the income that comes in minus all the expenses, and then the income that's left is enough to pay the mortgage one and a quarter times. That's basically what it is. So in a nutshell, But what do I look at? Probably gross income for the entry, right? Like what price, what is the gross income currently? What could it be? And how much is it going to take to get there? And then what will my gross income be relative to my new cost adjusted basis is what the commercial brokers like to say. They call it a cost adjusted, just means your acquisition plus all your rehab lumped into one chunk. And they call it cost adjusted basis. So I look at that total number and then I look at my new income and see if that ratio works real quickly. So that might take me.
What do you mean that ratio?
Maybe
what ratio?
like the ratio of the new income. Because let's say the income's 8K today, but let's say when I fix it all up, I could probably lease it for 13.5. So I take the 13.5 and I divide it by all of the new costs to rehab it too, right? So that ratio might be 1% rule, like bigger pockets. It might be 0.5% or whatever that percent is, that percentage. That lets me know if it's a good deal I want to look at, or if this deal is, it's very skinny. There's not much cash flow in it.
And you're just
At least that's
using,
how, yeah.
are you just using rents or did you say, or you're throwing in a expense number on there?
Well, the costs, right? The acquisition cost plus all the CapEx that you're going to
Okay.
have to put in, maybe 40K a unit, whatever it is.
Yep.
So I take the pro forma income and I divide it by the pro forma cost. I say pro forma cost because it's the buy cost and the rehab costs and potentially the holding cost too, because it might take 2 or 3 years to fulfill that.
Your lease up cost or
So-
your value add costs.
Well,
get
yeah,
stable.
it might take 2 or 3 years because it's Seattle, right? Let's say 6 months to vacate. It might take a while to actually get through all the units. So
Right. So do
those
it
are the
for
things,
us. So you're looking at something that has current rents of 8 and you're like, hey, take a peek at rents. I think I could get this to 13.5 just by
Uh-huh.
raising the rents and putting, cleaning it up, spending 15 grand on it or something like that. So now I'm buying it for whatever number plus my 15, right?
Mhm.
So now I'm into it for, I'm into it for 450 or something like this. All in
Well, that'd be nice. 450 grand for 8,000 income.
Well, I
That's
don't know
like
what
a
we're talking. I'm
2%
making up
rule.
numbers here. I'm just,
That
Well,
would
you
be
know
like
what I'm saying.
Ohio.
well, I
Yeah.
mean, give us a
Yeah.
number, like I'm into it for
Even in-
750.
Even in Oklahoma City, I couldn't get those numbers. But yeah, Seattle would probably be like 2 million to get 8,000, right? That would be like more like Seattle, like entry rent. And then you probably have a potential of bringing it to 12 out of the 2. And that would be like a 0.6 ratio because 12,000 divided by 2 million is 0.6%. So I would immediately know this deal's not great. I mean, unless I have a ton of cash to burn and I need to park it immediately, why would I buy that deal? Or I need a huge cost tag because I can write off, $500,000 from buying 2 million building.
Where you
Then I
see
would
like
do it.
Augie every year at the end of the year saying, give me
Yeah.
anything to buy. Because he's
Yeah,
simply
because-
looking for that.
Yeah, because we're real estate professionals and we need to write off our income or we'll get killed. So we have to do it. So we're forced. But the thing is, you want to look for that deal in January, so you're not forced to buy it in November when you're out of time. Because then you're going to rush yourself into buying a crappy deal. And that's horrible. You don't want to, you don't want to let the tax tail wag the dog. So
you're looking, so if you're taking your 12 grand and or whatever, and you're dividing it into your 2 million, 12 grand times 12 divided into your 2 million, which is your all-in purchase plus renovation costs and whatever cushion or holding time that you might on your lease up to get there is going to add a little bit on there. So you're at what a number are you looking for, Albert? Obviously, like the bigger pockets would say 1, hard to find. Are you looking at, well, how long I can get to 1 by 24 months out or 36 months out?
I think a pro forma 0.8% is enough for me. I mean, that's a monthly figure, right? You're talking about annual, that would be a 9.6 gross figure, like total gross income divided by total cost. 0.8 would be pretty good per month. So not 1%, because 1% is impossible in Seattle unless you're like developing it yourself and for 60 cents on the dollar, maybe. I mean, other than that, there's no way you're getting 1% rule in Seattle, or you're doing something creative, Airbnb or whatever.
Well, maybe it's in Tacoma.
But you're not dealing
Maybe
with
it's
long-term
not
rents.
Seattle. I mean,
The cost isn't that much cheaper. It might be
Right.
10, $20 cheaper per square foot to build in Tacoma, but you know, it's your rents are going to be a lot less. So relative, it would be worse to do it in Tacoma. I would think. So
1% rule fades away when your acquisition cost is getting over 500, Ken says. Yeah, well, Ken, you're buying properties. We have to be able to hear you a little better than the last time you turned on your mic, but what are you looking for? How do you underwrite? When will you buy a deal? You've been buying some properties. Can we hear you? No, we can't hear you. Mike gave up. Okay, no worries. Come back next week. Yeah,
are you buying anything, Julie?
I'm buying 4 years of college for twins.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
At least you
Yeah.
can deduct it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm no, I mean I am not really buying anything like that right now based on that kind of stuff. But I mean, I'd be more interested in like I like investing in stuff that has, because I don't, you know, I like that has development upside. That's where I came out of, you know, where I might have to wait for cash flow or anything or get minimal cash flow, but there's a development redevelopment or a development piece to it, where you can get a bigger hit, you know, within 5 years or something like that is more what I'm interested in. I'd be interested in like buying, you know, apartments with a buying group, you know what I mean? But again, those are hard to find. But I don't buy single family rentals and all that. You know, how about the model of buying something that needs a gut job and you put one unit in the bottom and one unit at the top? People are penciling that these days or not? Kind of the whole BRRR versus the, you know, duplex. Which is more likely these days, Alex?
I'm really sorry. I got distracted by
Oh, no
someone
worries.
texting me.
Is somebody better to get a deal doing a BRRR where they're forcing, you know, a downstairs and an upstairs rent in the house, you know, or whatever, versus buying a duplex, you know, that's already good to go?
You talking about for like the greater Seattle area or like?
Just,
'Cause I
well,
mean,
how
it's like
about
you said before,
state
right?
of
It's gonna be
Washington?
pretty-
Yeah, just in our state.
I mean, in Washington, that's still a really hard question for me to answer. I would say if you're in the greater Seattle area where you've already got a pretty high cost, I am in favor of purchasing an SFR, building the DADU.
Building the DADU.
Yeah, building the DADU, condoizing it, and then either selling one of the units or just like refinancing the whole thing. But
I
I mean,
agree.
if you're out of state, right, like real estate's local, right? So I mean, I've seen properties in Cleveland, for example. I have a borrower buying one right now for about 220K, and the rents are about 3,000 a month on that thing. So I mean, those numbers are crazy good. She's gonna cash flow like a beast on it.
Is it a war zone?
Nope, it's a decent area of Cleveland. Decent area of Cleveland.
Interesting. Yeah.
I know I've had borrowers bring deals to me from what was it, over in Spokane, that cash flowed at the 1% rule. So I mean, you know, it's still possible in Washington. But in Seattle, right, like I don't really favor 2 to 4 units just because it's been so very, very long since zoning has allowed for, you know, multiple units on one lot that the BRRR, like not the BRRR process, the building a DADU just is like, it's such a more established and better way to try and get better
I
value.
agree. Totally. That whole thing, and especially if the zoning changes. Do you ever see anybody in Tacoma doing DADUs? I don't pay attention too hard.
Yeah, well, okay. I've had borrowers do tiny homes in Tacoma. If you know Jesse Lee, he's having fun with some of his stuff down there. I know that Tacoma has opened up to DADUs more, so I actually do recommend looking into that. I personally haven't done too many loans for those
Yeah.
in Tacoma. Sheng was asking, so BRRR over duplex in our area. I mean, I will almost always advocate BRRR over most other strategies, just because, like, I don't know, duplexes in our area.
Or you can control your costs. You have more room.
Yeah, I mean, also like 2 to 4 unit properties in Seattle, they're so rare, they so rarely come on the market, right? That I feel like the value is usually overinflated. Like, I would rather take like a single family rental, live in there, get a loan maybe, or come up with the cash to subdivide the lot or like, sorry, not subdivide, build the DADU and then condoize that and then sell that off to get value or something.
When you BRRR a duplex, well, that we just use the word value add when we're talking. It's the same. It is basically BRRRing a duplex is the same thing as is essentially us talking about a value add apartment project. I think, I don't know, that's in my head. I don't know. Alex, is BRRRing a duplex kind of the same thing as when we're saying value add, duplex?
I mean, yeah. No, you can 100%, you can BRRRR but pretty much any property, right? I've talked to folks that are BRRRing industrial properties. It's definitely
Right.
doable.
In commercial, we more say value add. That's what what a value add project is.
Yeah.
You're just BRRRing it.
Sheng, I was
different-
kind of assuming that you were talking about BRRRing a single family residence versus a duplex, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in Seattle, I would probably prefer to BRRRR the single family residence just because, like I said, right, I feel like 2 to 4 unit properties, there's been so few of them that have been actually built in the last 20 years in Seattle because of zoning, that I feel like the ones that do come on the market get overvalued. I mean, Julie, you can probably give a little bit more input on that as a realtor that's pretty experienced in this, but like I don't know, like every time I've looked at a duplex in Seattle, I've always been like, why is this like more than double the cost of a single family rental? Just the numbers just don't feel like it makes sense to me.
True that. Yeah. And there's more people that need tax 1031-y stuff that understand duplexes than a BRRRR of a single family residence, right? So you have all the 1031 people, or all these retirement people that are looking, or all these, investors that have other motivations that'll pick up these expensive low cap duplexes, triplexes, and things like that. They don't even know what BRRRRs and single family stuff is. They don't want to be in that business, and they don't understand it. So, all right, guys. Well, it's 12:32. So while it's been wonderful and fun, it is time to depart today. Good to see you guys. And hey, just a shout out to Holly Bradley, who's been doing a wonderful sub job for me. You guys probably even like to talk to Holly more than me here at some point. And so I just want to say thank you to Holly for covering me when I'm out. And, thanks for everybody showing up, and we'll see you next time. See you guys.